Hello, welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven, and I'll be with you for the next hour hanging out. We are celebrating the launch of our latest expansion, Magic of Myth Drannor. So we'll be doing some questing today. We'll be in the public area. We'll be in the wilderness. I'll have a little bit of news about what we've got in the next couple of weeks in terms of previews of the raid and follow-up patch for next week. But mostly this is just about celebrating the launch of our expansion this week, Magic of Myth Drannor. You can find out more about it if you don't know about it for some reason, but why are you watching this if that's the case? If it is, though, check out ddo.com to get a lot more information about our expansion in the Forgotten Realms, Magic of Myth Drannor. And hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Hope you're having what's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great weekend for me. I'll be running this. I'll be playing Dungeons & Dragons online, and I've got some plans for the weekend as well, and even downtown Boston. And also, thank you so much, Voodoo Spice, for the raid. It looks like you picked up dozens of people there all of a sudden, so welcome, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good too, Voodoo Spice. I've been following Voodoo Spices and Strim Toms, and see, there was Jen Reyna and all sorts of people. I don't want to miss people, so maybe I shouldn't start listing names. But a bunch of people have been streaming Myth Drannor on Twitch, and we really appreciate when people do that. It's been fun to see the comments and the community getting together and hanging out and having fun. So that's what's up today. We got Myth Drannor got done released, so we're going to be talking about it and playing it. So let me get to a little bit of news first. First thing I want to mention is that we do have our release notes up, so if you do want to find out more about Magic of Myth Drannor and what exactly is in it, you can do so on ddo.com. There's a link to our expansion page if you want to go check that out. There's also the release notes that tell you about the new feats, new Destiny feats, items and augments that are in the expansion, some bug fixes that are in there as well, gameplay changes, and so far not too many known issues. We do have a couple of bugs that we're going to be working on, and that's for a patch next week. We can get into that as they kind of come up here today. The other bit of news is we do have a Guild Renown boost going on this weekend, so 30% Guild Renown through August 18th if you're interested in that. Good time to be hanging out, playing Myth Drannor with friends. I do want to quick put up on the news feed that you've got a week and a half, a little more than a week and a half yet to do this, but you should do this, and that is pick up your blue Draconic Wings. If you have not, you've got through August 27th to do that. So make sure you do that, because they're going to be going away after that. They may come back in the future, but no time soon, so pick them up. Or don't, if you don't want them. But you probably do, huh? We also happen to have a sale that's good if you'd like the Gold Steel Sovereign Healing Potions like I do. Stacks of 100 are 25% off this weekend, along with Sovereign Guild Renown Elixirs times 25. Superior Spell Point Potions times 100. And Colossal Ingredient and Augment Bags. That's through Thursday with our Bigger is Better sale at 25% off. Otherwise, I really think it's just a matter of heading in game and having some fun. So let's go ahead and do that. There are a couple of bugs here with Myth Drannor that we do have planned for a follow-up patch. There are two in particular. One is a map bug in one of the quests, and the other one, we've had a few places where players have gotten kind of stuck in a floating state, and so we're going to be having that one fixed as well. There may be a few other things that come up in chat here today that I can comment on, but we do have a follow-up patch set for next week, and that's that. So I'm in the Myth Drannor public area. You can see right now some of Myth Drannor off in the distance, and we'll be doing some questing and be out in the wilderness area today. But I thought we would just start with one of the quests that's in the public space itself. That's actually the Saga person, but let me make sure I've done that. Good thing I asked. Alright, so there we go. And we're going to run a quest called Ettercap Incursion. Someone doesn't like where we placed a door, huh? So the Draconic Raiders reward box. Yeah, so I've been seeing some chatter about that myself here. just in recent days. Now, where did I put that quest? There we go. Alright, so just so you know, I'm going on wimpy mode here. I haven't done Elite yet, but I will. But I find hard is pretty hard when I was going solo last night on this, so I think I'll leave it at that for now. And let's bring in the new Eladrin Druid just for funsies, and we'll bring in our rogue for reasons. The wilderness landscape of the city is pretty gosh darn impressive. Thank you so much. It is pretty big, is it not? It is a pretty big landscape that we ended up releasing here for Magic and Myth Drannor. I am actually playing on a legendary character. Because the level cap is now 34, all of my characters have some XP to earn now. But I'm also hoping to run on Heroic here. I actually was hoping to start off on Heroic and then run the Legendary, but instead I'm running Legendary first, because my Heroic characters, I've got one that I'm playing with my son, and that character is at level 12, and then I've got one that I'm playing on my own, but that one is only level 10, so they're not there yet. They're not good enough yet. You can get in at level 10, and you can technically run the quests, but I wouldn't want to run quests on higher difficulty on stream on a level 10 character. It just seems like a recipe for issues. Issues I wish not to have. So, I'm on my legendary character. This is our Mog over on Kyber. He's a happy fighter type. I like him very much. He is doing just fine. Thank you.
You found a cave, but it's too small to be the great cave where the Etacaps...
I have been questing on the edge, though. That's the thing. I have actually been running that level 10 in Myth Drannor, but I've been, like I say, I've been going on wimpy mode and running normal hard, because I've been soloing it. But it's actually the Bean, the chaos-wielding sorcerer that I've been playing in recent weeks on Serlona. So I have, in fact, dipped my toe into Myth Drannor at level 10. But it just... I ran the first couple of quests and I was like, gosh, on stream here for this, we just came out with Myth Drannor stream. How about you not run a character that might get raffle stomped on camera? So why don't you switch over to your character on Kyber that can put up some decent-ish numbers. So that's what I'm doing. It is, so it's been really lovely. My son just, you know, DDO has been around as long as he has, right? Ever since he was a baby. His dad has been working on Dungeons and Dragons Online. So when you're growing up in a situation like that, it maybe kind of goes into the background a little bit. So, you know, a game that's been around as long as he has is perhaps less exciting than a modern thing that is being advertised by the people he watches on YouTube and such. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just sort of how it goes. But a couple of times now, he's had interest in playing with me, and we happen to be in one of those times. So it's been pretty great. I've been really enjoying the expansion as well. We do have a little bit of polish that we'll be doing here for next week's patch, but overall things have been going pretty good here with Myth Drannor, and that's been exciting to see. Sometimes releasing an expansion can be a little nerve-wracking, but it's all been fine for the most part, except for that one thing, and maybe that other thing. I was on the Tavern Talk podcast this Wednesday as well. They asked some questions about DDO and the Lord of the Rings Online. I was really there kind of wearing a community manager hat for SSG. But that happened on Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. So if you want to do a quick Google search for Tavern Talk podcast, I'm sure you'll get all the info you might need about that. It was pretty fun to just sort of hop on a show like that and do that on launch day. Otherwise, I spent all launch day just paying attention to the feedback. I didn't get the chance to actually log in and start questing myself until, I guess it was about 10 o'clock that night. Just sort of how it goes sometimes. When you end up working on the game, you're going through Reddits and Discords and the forums and just conversations and all sorts of things happening. Putting together kind of, alright, here's the list of things that I'm hearing and seeing, and here's links to it and all that stuff. It's not super onerous, but it does take a little bit of time. And so that was really what I do on launch day. And then I had a bunch of Twitch streams on. I had like a half dozen tabs open with various Twitch streamers at a time, popping by their streams and chatting and saying hello and listening to them as best as I could. And that was really cool too. Some really nice streams on launch day. I can tell you that, and let's look a little bit ahead to the future here, and one of the things we are going to be working on is our raid. And our raid will be coming out at a time TBD, not anytime too soon. I would say within a couple of months is probably about as safe a time frame as we want to look at there. But it could be getting a preview within, I don't know, within X number of weeks. Sometime in September, maybe. Something like that. And so that'll be on the horizon. We have a follow-up patch for next week as well. And that'll just be some bug polish and what have you. There are toys, I'm sure, particularly if you're my age, which, you know, we were really marketed to in terms of action figures and dolls and toys and things in our childhood. So we have nostalgia for this stuff. And one of the toys that I most regret losing from childhood is I had the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Hook Horror toy that came out as part of the, I believe it was the LJN set, and it was a good size figure. I believe it was maybe about 8 inches tall, something like that. It was pretty significant. And I had that Hook Horror toy, and I loved it. I thought that thing was fantastic. And somewhere along the line, it disappeared. I also had like the Kellic and the War. Well, my brother had the War Duke. I had the Kellic, and we had a couple of the other figures that came out with that. I had Grimlock. And he had the Paladin, and a couple others that we had too of that figure set. I had the Manticore. I had the Manticore, that set. But the Hook Horror toy was one that I really particularly wish I had saved from my childhood. And so when Magic and Myth Drannor came out this week and we're fighting Hook Horrors like this, there's a part of me that's just like, oh, why? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? You loved it then. There was never a time you haven't loved that toy, so why did you get rid of it? What were you thinking? But you can't carry your whole life with you everywhere you go, can you? So sometimes you just don't know. Yes, Cozy Bean. Thank you. I also watched a bunch of Cozy Beans chat, and that was great. And, her stream as well, which was excellent. Okay, I must have gotten turned around here. Oh no, I just went in a circle. Okay. Let us get to the center hallway. That should be open now. Yep.
The way into the cave is open. The terror that lies behind the Ettercap's raids awaits within.
Yeah, that's right. And Cozy Bean even was cosplaying as an Eladrin, and that was awesome too.
Something much more powerful. A large, hungry fang dragon.
I am wearing the cosmetic outfit, one of the 2 cosmetic outfits that comes with your Myth Drannor purchase. I'm wearing the one that's from the, I think it's the collector's edition, right? This one. And then the Thay one is in the ultimate. So that's what that cosmetic quiver is, and the kind of greenish outfit in that comes from that. Shield is just a shield I have. It's actually, the shield is the Warduke shield from Keep on the Borderlands, because, you know, like we just said, I'm kind of a nerd for that stuff. I agree, the Fang Dragon looks great. No, as a matter of fact. The text is blue on black, so I can't see your name, but someone in Twitch chat is saying, is it intended that mods in the expansion have an insane amount of fortification bypass? You are probably specifically talking about the wilderness area, but there may be other spots where it's happening as well. That said, at least when it comes to the wilderness area, the answer is no. That is a bug that we're working to correct for next week's patch as well. They have too high fortification in the landscape. Are there changes to make for the rare loot drop rate? At least include them at the Saga and reward. Current Saga reward is not what you want. For the first time, doesn't include artifacts in it. I can't speak to the artifact part of it. We've been seeing some of the feedback on drop rate, and we'll consider it. Overall, the drop rate is falling, from what we can tell, so far at least. The drop rate is dropping at its intended drop rate. One thing I did want to clarify, I saw a little bit of incorrect information somewhere or other. And that is that there's a belief that it's either filigree or named items, and the answer to that is no. There's separate drop tables in terms of getting Gen 3 filigree from the named loot table. The named loot table does include the augments, however, from my understanding. So when you do get an augment, my understanding is that means that you did essentially get a pull from the named table in that chest. But we could, we're always open to drop rate considerations. It's often the case that people would like us to increase drop rates of things, and there's some kind of give and take that we have to try to consider there. If we end up making a change, it would be listed in the release notes somewhere. Right.
The elves will once again be able to walk these woods.
Yes, so one of the things I wanted to mention is the DM voice here. The DM voice that you're hearing, the female one, is Amelia Tyler, and she is quite the voice actor. You may have heard of her from a whole bunch of things, like many of the professional voice actors in the world. They do a lot. But one of the things that perhaps you might have heard of is a small indie game called Baldur's Gate 3. And she did the narration. She was the female narrator in Baldur's Gate 3. And she's our DM here for Magic and Myth Drannor, which is super duper sweet. Okay, so we have now quested in the area. Let's head out into Myth Drannor itself. I don't know off the top of my head, but let me ask. Okay, yes, I have an answer. Thankfully, I think someone might be listening in on Twitch chat and was able to ping me up in the company office about it. So, the male voice is Bronwyn Price, another of the voice actors. There's 4 voice actors in the pack: Amelia Tyler, Bronwyn Price, Misty Lee, and Ian Hanlon. Amelia does 4 quests, and the Srinshi quest journals. Bronwyn Price is a she. So Ian is the male voice actor. Okay. So the male voice actor is Ian Hanlon, and then Bronwyn Price was the VO actor for that most recent quest. Amelia Tyler and Misty Lee are also doing VO in Magic of Myth Drannor. Thank you for the correction there. That would be from Knockback in chat. And they're all very professional voice actors with extensive credits to their name. But when we do hear Amelia Tyler, which I believe we shall soon, she was the narrator in BG3. So one of the reasons I wanted to run on the heroic character as well is because they are a wild mage with a focus on chaos magic, so it would just thematically make a lot of sense for this particular live stream and expansion. That was a lot of reflex saves, was it not? Reflex save. A reflex save. We do have a bug fix in for an issue in the wilderness where some of the nodes, at least some of the nodes, have a bug where if more than one person tries to grab them, it's only proccing for the first person in it. Flimsy Firewood identified a fix for that one today, and that should be in our next game update as well. And that'll be set for, almost certainly set for next week. We haven't actually done it yet, so, you know, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It is a pretty big Slayer area, is it not? I don't know how it compares in size to the others. If I get an opportunity to ask here at some point in the future, I will. But we've really just sort of touched it at this point. My gut tells me it's about Isle of Dread sized. But maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it is bigger than Dread. I don't know if it's Barovia-sized. Maybe that's a better comparison. How is it compared to Barovia? I don't think Stormhorns is necessarily all that big, it's just that it's very tall. It rises in a way that few of our other wilderness areas do. Although I suppose when you look at stuff like this, you know, Stormhorns was a while ago now. Wow, a big crazy hole in the ground. That seems like a fun place to hang out. They lit it up just for me.
Deadly creatures infest the ruins of the fallen city. One of them has clearly made this cave its lair.
That seems somewhat not necessarily safe. Well, hello, Yagora. I bet you're a big purple worm. Yep. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ouch. Okay. Well, huh. Okay, so that happened. Try that again. Maybe I'll bring out some help this time. Frogo, you can fight. Rana, you can fight. You heal me. Let's try this again. Oof, that is some damage, is it not? I have some self-healing with my second wind. I basically went into Divine Crusader on this build, so I'm mostly a pure fighter with Divine Crusader and Fury of the Wild as the two enhancement trees that I went into. Really? Yagura is all the way up the top, huh? Okay. That seems like a problem. Why are your hit points back? Okay, that seems good. Wow, okay. So this is not going to go the way I want. So I'm going to back out for now. At the very least, I need to get my second winds back before I try to go toe-to-toe with that thing again. Well, we almost survived. So, my fortification isn't the worst. I mean, it's 250%. Oh, how do we get out of here now? That is one tough critter, is it not? Guess we need some help. We'll have to bring in a group next time. It would be fun on this live stream to actually start bringing in a group again. We used to. You know, there was a time where we were running groups fairly regularly on this live stream, and I was giving out points codes to participants and things. Maybe it's time to do that for a little while. It has been I think a couple of years at this point since we last did that, so that might be a fun thing to do. And I could use the help, looks like. So this character in particular is Kyber. And I bet there's some people on Kyber we could group with on a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Alright, let's take care of these oozes. Portal just opened and then shut. I should get the magic carpet out. But I do like that fast nightmare horse. I know for a lot of people it'll be this weekend that'll probably be your first time running with Drannor, so I want to be a little careful about not getting too spoilery on the show. I don't want to spoil people's first time fun, as it were. But at the same time, we're you know, doing some wilderness area and popping in a few quests and what have you. And then as the weeks go on, I'll be running all of these quests, for sure. So I haven't noticed low hit points on any of the bosses that I've seen, but if you do happen to see one that it's just like, well, that can't be right. It might not be, so please do fill out a bug report on it. And all of your friends who died to it will thank you. Thanks, Mr. Hey, this thing doesn't have enough hit points. I mean, that purple worm sure does. It has enough hit points. At least for this character. I wasn't doing so good there. I'm also pretty excited in that my son isn't just temporarily playing some DDO with me, but he also wants to play tabletop D&D. We did a little bit of that prior to the start of his school year, and him and a friend want me to DM for them on Roll20, and so I'll be doing that some point here soon. And I mean, come on. As any parents out there, if your kid asks, would you DM D&D with them? Of course, right? It's like the coolest thing ever. He actually has my rule books right now. I let him take the Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, and Monster Manual, 5th edition, the hardbacks I got, with him back to his mother's for the school year. Because I've got the PDFs hanging around, but also because, of course, the 2024 editions are coming out real soon. I haven't read them yet. I know that there are some people who went to Gen Con this year who was able to pick up a set. I know Severlin, for example, was able to pick up her set thanks to someone buying a set at Gen Con this year. But I haven't had the opportunity to read them myself. I am looking forward to it though, and I figured, you know, I'll be doing that here this fall, so I can give up the. That's weird. I have heard comments that some people would like to see a higher mob density out here as well. I don't know that I have felt that that's necessarily the case. It is perhaps a little less dense than maybe what we've seen in places like Feywild, but it doesn't. It seems about what I'd want, I think. No, I don't have word about any adventure packs that would have been referenced in the producer's letter. I know that we do have additional things that we're doing here for the remainder of the year. We'll have a lot more information about that soon. We have kind of an event and a quest pack that is in the works. But it's a little bit too early. We just launched Myth Drannor. I think 2. I don't know that we have 2 quest packs happening before the end of the year. But I'll have to look out and see what we actually said. And try to compare that to bullet points of what we're doing. See what we said might be a quest pack that... But I know we have at least one whole full-on quest pack that we're working on here real soon. Also, check out these Nagas. We have a screenshot of the Nagas here in our roster for Myth Drannor, and their faces I think turned out really good. They have really cool looking faces. Can't really, I guess I'm not really seeing it in this view, but we got a larger one at some point, you'll see it. You had to be quick to get one at Gen Con. Yeah, I can only imagine the stress that some people were under trying to get their hands on the 2024 Player's Handbook at Gen Con. I bet that was a little like Black Friday and $50 TVs or something like that, but... So, I need to look into the statement that you have Wanderlust. So, I don't know that the bosses in the Wilderness of Isle of Dread have a 100% reward drop rate outside of the ingredient reward list. But since there aren't ingredients in Magicka Myth Drannor, I'm not sure that it's accurate to compare the two in terms of what you get from the chest there. If the bosses, if the named mobs in Isle of Dread have a guaranteed 100% named item drop rate, I guess that would surprise me, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not sure on that. We'll have to look into what's actually happening and how that compares. But I know, like, for example, there's the 3 crafting bosses in Isle of Dread, and we don't have an equivalent system of that here in Myth Drannor. Is someone saying that the new player's handbook is $50? Is that right? At Gen Con? That sounds... I'm actually surprised they didn't put a premium on it. Treat it like a rock concert t-shirt or something. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just saying. It was the first chance in the world for people to get their hands on this thing. I don't know, that doesn't sound out of line for a big, thick hardcover book in 2024. So, I mean, I went and did a bunch of Isle of Dread farming, and I don't recall the named bosses in Isle of Dread having a 100% named item drop rate. It doesn't sound accurate to me. I will pay attention the next time I'm farming in Dread, and I will see if I get a chest that doesn't have a named item in it. And then I will be like, oh my gosh, you're right. But in general, I think the point is that the Isle of Dread doesn't just have, say, an artifact and other loot system like Myth Drannor does, but it also had a very specific named item crafting system whose process to acquire and upgrade was entwined within the fabric of the wilderness area. And we went a somewhat different route here for Myth Drannor. Oh, hey, how you doing, Jeffrey? Nice to see you. Yeah. We was talking about how we were playing some of the quests here recently. That has got to be one of the weirder sounds in Dungeons & Dragons Online, is that kind of howler sound. I did, however, get that one character, the heroic character, from last time they were on stream. I believe they were level 4. Maybe 5, something like that. And I did get them all the way up to 10 before Myth Drannor launched, so I did get some progress. I just didn't quite make it enough that I wanted to run them on stream yet, but I'll pop up those last couple of levels, probably in the wilderness area here, along with maybe a little questing on normal, and then I'll start having the heroic Chaos Sork Wild Mage that I can run in the Wild Mage themed pack here for future weeks. But today we're running with my old classic Armad. And I do have a character on Orion and Wayfinder as well that are totally ready to rock on the expansion. I like the idea of doing some public questing in the coming weeks as well. That sounds like a pretty fun idea that I should pursue. Put a post on the forums and be like, hey, who might be around at 4 p.m. this Friday Eastern? I'll bribe you with a points code or something like that. Yeah, someone's saying in chat they opened up 725 free tickets to buy a player's handbook at Gen Con. So if you got a ticket, you went to get a wristband, then you would take your wristband to the stadium to buy your player's handbook. So it was kind of like a, a lottery system. But that's a good way to do it. That's certainly a fair and adequate way to distribute a limited quantity of your brand new player's handbook. I'm just saying, I mean, as much as people want to argue about the price of it or whatever, you know, try going to a rock show sometime and look at the price of t-shirts and that. If you had something rare like that, they probably could have charged $100 per and still sold as many. Just saying. Not that I want to be Mr. Evil Capitalist, but would I blame him? No. Dilemma and Axel want me to come run with them on Talanis. Well, that sounds great. I have a character that needs a little bit of work before I would be ready to run it on camera. But I've got a character on Talanis that I can run, for sure. And I would totally love to run with Dilemma Ender and Axel. That sounds great. Let's make that happen. That's true. Well, Ori and I definitely have a character. What I'm really looking to do is get a group for the next couple of weeks on stream, since I think the streams are largely going to be content-focused of the new content. It would make sense to try to get a group together and run some of that as a team. I also would expect to see... I don't have a timetable. At this point, it's really just kind of a vague, verbal, yeah, let's do that. But I would expect to see Severlin on, too, at some point, relatively soon, within the next couple of months. One of these Friday shows, Sev will be on as well. It's just been a little while, and now that the expansion's out, might be a good time to do that. Or maybe Tolero, one of them might be able to come on and chat a bit. And then, you know, I referenced earlier there's a few things I can't really talk about at this point that we do have planned for the latter part of the year. And as that stuff starts to become more publicly known, could have people on, like maybe a Torque or someone to talk about that. Maybe see if we can get Torque on in a raid. That would be fun. I don't know that I have a ton of new news today. We did just release our expansion, so I think the news is mostly that we have a follow-up patch set for Wednesday, and we have a Guild Renown boost going on this weekend. We've got some pretty good sales happening, and yeah, Myth Drannor is out, so enjoy Magic of Myth Drannor and play it if you're interested. So that's really the news this week, is we're celebrating the launch of our expansion that kicked off on Wednesday. So our first weekend. You think Quick Cutter and Fury feels stronger than it was before? I don't know if that I've noticed that myself, but 'cause I'm mostly using Block and Cut. It's the one I like. My two-handed fighter, bastard sword-wielding sword and board fighter with Divine Crusader and Fury of the Wild as my destinies, and Stalwart Defender and Vanguard as my enhancements. And the reason really is to get decent enough-ish hit points for me, 2,500, and decent armor class, decent fortification. The rest probably doesn't add up, but whatever. Could be worse. Pretty survivable build, and some self-healing with Second Wind and the Beckon Divinity, and the Last Stand as well. Yeah, this outfit is part of the Myth Drannor pre-purchase. It's from the one of the editions, Collectors or Ultimate, but I think Collectors. It's the Cormanthor Marksman's outfit. Quick Cutter now works properly with melee power. Cool. Oh, and I've got Consecration as well. That gives me some healing. But the idea is I'm not like a full Intima tank, but I could just sort of stand and take some hits, dish out some decent DPS, and keep myself alive while doing so. I do have a bit of a spell point pool, and again, that's because of the Consecration that has a spell point cost associated with it. I want to have enough that I can keep that thing going. And when I don't need that going, then I've got my Adrenaline, which is kind of my standard pump out the damage button. Okay. Where are we looking on this map? We've taken a pretty circuitous path. We still have quite a ways to go, do we not? Look at all that. So I should head roughly this way. So I'm critting. I don't know if I've seen it on this in these mobs yet, but I can crit for, I've seen as high as about maybe 14, 16,000 on a crit on this character, and that seems to be doing pretty good for me. I know someone was saying they hit for over 40k, which I think sounds insane, but congrats. It's amazing. especially in Reaper 10. Now, I'm not running Reaper 10. I would like to start running a little Reaper more on the live stream, but, you know, you see how I play. Sometimes I don't want to die a whole bunch and get kind of in a doom spiral on stream, so we'll see. But perhaps I could certainly use the Reaper XP. But I've never been, you know, bleeding edge meta kind of player. That's just not really how I roll. It's a lot. Someone's asking how many players run Reaper. I can't provide you with proprietary information like that, but it's plenty. It isn't everybody. One of the things that you can think of when you think of DDO's player community is there isn't just one player. It's not everybody is running X or everybody is running Y. You have clusters of community that run all sorts of different things, and so some people do in fact just kind of hang out periodically, let's just say with their friends, and do some questing, and they're largely questing on like normal or hard. They're going slow and steady through the game, and it's been 2-3 years, and they're just now getting to level 20, right? And then you got all the people who are like, yeah, I'm on my 20th life out of the 30 I have planned, and here's the link to their spreadsheet for all of them and everything. And they're all competing in the same space and playing the same game. It's just that there are a lot of different pockets of people out there. So while you could say lots of people are running Reaper 10, lots of people are also running Elite and what have you. But it does skew. It does skew in our game toward Elite and Reaper, I think, as a population statistic. That XP boost you get in Reaper is a huge motivator for people who are into the reincarnation system. Would you like all the XP or some of the XP? Let me know. All the XP, please. There are people who use hirelings and pets to solo a Reaper 10. Well, okay. I mean, I don't want to call you a liar. I'm sure you're telling the truth, but what? Really? No. What? No. That can't be true. People are soloing Reaper 10 with hirelings, and those hirelings are surviving in Reaper 10. Are you serious? Are you for real? I don't believe that is true. I want to see that hireling in action. No, I'm sure that there are people that certainly use hirelings to supplement the Reaper 10s that they're running. I was just joking around, based on the way those words are put together. But I ain't doing it. I ain't soloing Reaper 10, the hirelings. Yeah, I think, you know, for good and ill, I suppose, there is definitely, with the additional XP you get from Reaper, it does have an impact on sort of what a lot of groups and public groups are running. But also over time, you know, I think it's also true that the Reaper system has become somewhat easier, not just because people have more Reaper points and abilities to utilize them, but they just have a lot more experience with it, and the general ebb and flow of power. Now we're up to 34. We got 34 power. Level 34 power. Alright, so I think we're just about done with the stream here today. Next week we'll try to do some more questing in Myth Drannor, rather than just sort of hang out in the landscape and run a little bit of quests. But it's been enjoyable seeing the landscape here and picking up 683 Slayers. That's not terrible. I saw that Psycho Blonde and some others are working on the DDO wiki map as we speak, so that you too can follow the arrows on the map of the wiki to figure out where all the explorers and rares are. That seems to be a community project in process. I would expect to see more of that show up over the weekend. But I overall just really hope you're enjoying Magic and Myth Drannor. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for being a part of the community of Dungeons & Dragons Online. I'll be back next Friday at 4 p.m. You can watch the show on Twitch and YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for giving the video a like, and thank you so much for subscribing to Dungeons & Dragons Online. It'll get this video and our trailers and stuff in your subscription feed. Thank you everyone on Twitch for contributing to the chat and chatter of the show. I'll see you all next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.